listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
If you're a Breen, fun fact, your library books are always late. But we're not late because it's Monday. It's 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern, and it's time for Mission Log Live. And our coverage of the, wait for it, anti-penultimate episode of Star Trek's Discovery's 5th and final season. I'm Norman Lau.
And I'm Holly Amos. And just like Norman said, we're back to talk about the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery, Labyrinths. So click on the Zoom link. I saw one of the Daves was asking. Click on the Zoom link or give us a call, 669-900-6833, because we want to hear from you. Earl is here patiently holding down the Earl Green Room. So why not make his night and give him a call? Or, you know. Are you guys still having trouble in the chat?
Are they?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure it'll like work itself out.
Okay, but still call us though. Zoom link or 669-900-6833. I see some of you guys are having issues with Facebook today.
Yeah, I think I am a little bit, but sometimes no. Look, now I got to go all the way up to see Bob Amos because we're saying hi to any and everyone, right? From Facebook chat, especially Bob. So, hi, Mark. Hi, Scott Palm. Glad to have you here. We have one Paul. Keep a running tally there, Holly. We have one Paul. We have Mark. We have Brett. Good to see you, Brett. Matt Riggins. Discovery has 33. Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, then I guess it is Rotten Tomatoes. Dom, what's up, man? Jane. A lot of our friends from our Discord.
You know, I think this issue might be a browser issue because I'm on my phone and I'm not having a difficult time. And Heather says that she's fine on her phone.
It may be.
It might be a browser issue, you guys. Our apologies.
Yeah, it's what's, it's what's. And we say that sometimes. So let's see. On my PC, I'm just seeing in my own comments.
I'm a PC. I'm a Mac.
I know, it just... But the most important thing is that you're here to listen to us talk about this episode. And before we do that, we are going to go into what's going on with all of our Roddenberry podcasts. So, Holly, what's going on with all the stuff that we do?
Well, regular Mission Log is continuing its journey through the Delta Quadrant with Season 5's Once Upon a Time.
Ooh,
then Mission Log Genealogy. I'm going to...
Say it. Say it. Say it.
I'm so nervous about mispronouncing things.
You won't.
Okay, so they're going to do Gene Roddenberry's. He won a Writers Guild of America award for the best teleplay in 1958 of Helen of Abajanian.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yes.
Right? And who was with Helen in that episode?
Paladin?
Yes, you win a prize. Well done.
I didn't mispronounce anything.
You did.
Okay. But also, you guys should pour a glass of Bear Fight whiskey and join Talking Ted with Mike and Jessica.
That's right.
So they can see what makes Ted tick. This week's guest star is Georgia Wiggum, who we saw in 2 episodes of The Orville, and now on Ted as John's cousin Blair Bennett.
Yeah. I was really stoked to see Georgia there because 2 of my favorite episodes on The Orville were about her, about her character and what happened. So very, very cool. Yep.
All right. Well, that's good. Yeah. So follow all of our podcasts at podcast.roddenberry.com and make sure to also like and subscribe to our content on youtube.com/Roddenberry Entertainment, like this video you're watching right now.
Awesome. Thank you, Holly. And I'm sorry, everyone that are having issues with the chat. I hope we get that straightened out. I'm going to be refreshing every once in a while so that we can see like the live chat. But until then, I'm going to ignore all of you so I can do the story recap.
How rude. I'm going to ignore all of you.
I know. What are you drinking tonight?
The same nonsense that I've been drinking the whole time.
Did you like buy boxed wine at like Costco in bulk? Is that
No, I just buy large bottles of it.
is it the same bottle or we're not going to get
No,
into
no.
that?
This is several bottles later.
Okay, all right. Just, we're adults here.
I should probably be drinking water though, because it was my birthday weekend and I had quite a few drinks.
Oh yeah? Is that how you're working on your beer tan, alcohol tan, or an actual tan? All
Well,
right.
let's see. The two events, like I had wine at one event. I went to a Justin Timberlake concert on my actual birthday, and then
Nice.
I had beer at the Renaissance Fair yesterday, like you do.
Round of applause for Holly going 21 again.
Yeah, I'm 21 again.
Forever 21. We'll get you a gift card. All right, so we have season 5, episode 8, the anti-penultimate episode for Star Trek Discovery, Labyrinths. That's a plural. Aboard Primarch Rune's cavernous dreadnought, throngs of Breen soldiers rhythmically bang their staffs while Locke's body, shrouded in a ceremonial flag, rests on the bridge. Although Locke defied them in life, the Breen honor him in death. Rune believes that Locke's death, more specifically the Scion's death, will unite other Breen factions to their side. Once Maul provides Rune with the progenitor's technology, his faction will reign supreme. However, the Primarch warns Maul not to cross him, or the consequences will be severe. Meanwhile, Discovery executes a spore jump into the Badlands, a region known for the largest plasma storm in the quadrant. Gallo reports difficulty in scanning due to the storm, but the nearby Eternal Gallery and Archive offers a communications relay. Tilly sends scan data to the beacon, and Discovery is soon contacted by Hyrel, an archivist who navigates them through the storm. Despite increasing radiation, Michael follows Hyrel's advice to cut the engines and avoid a dangerous ionic reaction, allowing the ship to glide through and reach the Archive safely. Upon nearing the Archive, Asha confirms that they'll soon be in range, although cloaking is disabled by high levels of Cherenkov radiation. The Breen face the same limitation. Hyrel arranges for the Archive to lower its shields and requests Book's assistant to provide insight on a Quajan artifact that they possess. Michael consults with Book, who is remorseful over handing Maul over to the Breen, and Michael hopes Book understands her choice, even if it further drives them apart. Inside the Archive, they are shown around by Hyrel, who also confirms the Breen's membership and contributions to the Archive. The visit leads them to individual viewing rooms, where Michael interacts with Dr. Derrick's manuscript, which upon closer inspection reveals a hidden metal card that lights up on touch. Book is emotionally overwhelmed in his viewing room when Hyrel shows him his ancestral artifact, a Quajan world tree root. Suddenly, in the privacy of her viewing room, Michael falls unconscious and awakens in a mindscape, revealed by an AI to be a test devised by Dr. Derrick's. Meanwhile, Dr. Culber, unable to reach Michael Burnham, finds she is physically stable, but trapped within a mind program that can't be safely disconnected. Back in real space, Rune, having tracked Discovery's arrival, demands access to the Archive, which Hyrel refuses, effectively canceling the Breen's library cards. Rune retaliates by breaching the nearly impenetrable shields surrounding the Archive. But back in the Mindscape, Michael has a personal revelation in which she overcomes her fears, allowing her to gain access to the final puzzle piece. As the Breen begin their assault, Hyrel raises the Archive shields and Discovery prepares for an emergency beam out. Burnham negotiates with Rune for the Archive's safety in exchange for the map piece. Rune accepts, but subsequently orders an attack, believing he has destroyed Discovery. However, Michael outmaneuvers him by executing a deceptive jump, leaving Rune to think that they've perished. Discovery ends up off course and in need of repairs. But back on the Dreadnought, sensing Rune's subjects are disgruntled with a reckless and honest leader, Maul confronts and kills the Primarch, proclaiming herself the rightful leader, a position that gains support from the Breen, who chant in approval of their new ruler. The end. Clunk, 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 clunk.
Just Maul over here flying by the seat of her pants.
Right? I mean,
at all times.
Exactly. I'm sure that we have all of the stuff to talk about, but let's take a few moments to see how we feel about the episode and where we are with the what season I'm sorry, the episode in general as the last of our Discovery series.
Yeah, I mean, I what I realized in this episode was that I do, even though I feel like the whole like, oh, we're going around and we're finding clues and gathering puzzle pieces feels a little bit on the nose, or easy, I guess. I do appreciate all of the different places that storyline has taken us, all the different planets. I am I especially like this episode from the standpoint of that we got to see an archive, but that's because I'm an archivist. So I'm biased, yep. But we did where they shot that archive that you see. That's not like a set. That is the Thomas Fisher Rare Books Library at the University of Toronto. It's one of the largest book depositories in the world, if not the largest. They have millions of things in there, and I'm very jealous that they got to be in there because I don't think anything's ever been shot in there.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably a lot of trickery in there just to
make it look more expansive.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, but the the little rooms that you see and all the aisles and stuff that they walk down that's a real place.
Yeah, I'm sure that you're looking at the span of books, maybe even kind of rearranging a few.
I'm looking at it from a different perspective. I also feel like when they successfully ended up shooting at the archive and damaging some of it, I'm sure that I had a different reaction than most people because I was like, you can't destroy the archive. What are you doing?
Right. Exactly.
There's priceless things in there. Anyways, but I do appreciate where it's taken us.
Well, I think that's the whole point of what was going on with Rule. They're like, yeah, we're going to destroy a bunch of green artifacts that are probably one of a kind, probably historical for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And they're like, his second in command, are you sure about that? It's is this the best play here? So obviously, he's a little unstable, and therefore Maul had to get rid of him. I just want to go into the chat. I'm so sorry that the chat is a little dicey. I'm looking at a lot of the, just kind of the responses and try and keep up with us because every once in a while, we all have to, update the chat, and refresh and stuff like that. Dave Takechi says that, yes, it's been all day, not this evening. So it's a worldwide problem. Not a fan of doing this on this app. Yeah, it limitations, right? We kind of just roll with it. We're going to jump into first caller right now. So we have Mark, and one of the things that I just want to kind of ask everyone as we're talking about this episode is so are we feeling the anti-penultimate episode? Are we feeling that it's not just a season finale, or coming up to the season finale, but the series as well, because this is kind of a big thing. This is the first of our new Trek that's coming to a close, and I just want to see how people are feeling right now. So go ahead, Mark. What's happening, man?
Well, first of all, since this is a library-based episode, I want to come and return the 2 books I just read back to back on Saturday. I put the music video channel on and read both of these.
Nice. Good for you.
That's very good. Now I'm back into book 2 of The Expanse to work on that. But that's neither here nor there. To answer your question, I've been following along on the more popular culture side of things for a lot of the season instead of watching everything. But from what I can definitely feel, I'm not feeling that suspense of that buildup. I know I'll probably the chat will probably hate me for bringing this up again, but Picard season 3, I felt that buildup that I don't feel happening in Discovery, even though they're finding the clues or the other thing. I just don't feel the rush happening. And of course, the rush nearly happening as being as important. And I don't think that's it's different approaches, of course, but I think that one of the things is, it feels like this was filmed at, and pretty much in the can, and they didn't, and then they canceled it, and they didn't really have time to go back and maybe do only a little bit of stuff, but not change most of the episodes. And I definitely feel it with this show so far, which is a shame because if they knew they were ended, I think they would have changed like a lot, made things a lot tighter, and had other endings that they didn't have.
Well, sure. I mean, like I don't know the road to Endgame yet with Voyager, but we saw like basically like the 9-part extended season finale of Deep Space Nine when we get all the way to What You Leave Behind parts 1 and 2, and that was a systematic, obviously serialized story, and you felt it, and it's cleaning up a lot of stuff. I mean, even like, I don't know, Holly, did you feel like even with all good things, in the Next Generation, it wasn't like this is coming to an end? They just had a season finale. So,
yeah, I don't feel with TNG like there was very much of a build up the way that there was with Voyager.
Yeah.
And I mean that definitely didn't exist for Enterprise. Poor Enterprise.
That's getting a lot of chatter right now. Like,
I mean, I do think that I feel like they knew early enough that this was going to be their last season. That, I mean, maybe they're just doing a poor job.
Well, I mean, like, it's kind of like how much can they manipulate, like making some type of finality to it. I mean,
I feel like they have to tie up strings with characters that we may never see again. If they leave things sort of open-ended for characters like Tilly, who we assume is going to be in the new Academy show, I feel like that's fine. Right. I think the last 2 episodes are really going to let us know how well the writers did to give us all closure of the series and the ship, and because I mean, truly, the ship is a character too. And then the characters themselves, unless we know that those characters are moving on to another series, which I think at this point is only Tilly.
Okay. Mark, like, do you feel that, I mean, we're getting some type of proper closure, or you think it's just going to be curtains?
That's a good question. So far, I feel that it's just going to be curtains, and they may. There's been a couple of times with some of the shows of where they've gone really quickly to tie the loose ends up for the first half, and then they have their grand send off that they've done. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going to happen next for that. But I'm still curious. I'll definitely keep following along and seeing the things. But I don't know. I just think part of it is, as well, is that in the modern streaming age, shows don't necessarily know that they're always going to get canceled, so they kind of just do it. And they've done cliffhangers. They've even done that on normal TV.
I'm still bitter about one.
Oh no, which one?
I think I'd mentioned this on the show before. It was a sci-fi series on Showtime called Odyssey 5. Peter Weller was in it, and they did the first season, and there's a cliffhanger at the end of the first season, and then they got canceled. My dad and I were like, what? Yeah, so obviously I don't think that's going to happen here, but it still continues to happen even in the streaming age, and it definitely happened, with regular network TV too.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it tied all up. But I guess that, like, what we can hope for, and John's going to be doing episode 9, and then I think we're having I think like a recap for episode 10, and then the final series. But I don't know. I mean, I hope for the best. I hope that they're at least going to have a logical conclusion. I hope that for anyone who's a Star Trek Discovery fan, that they're going to get the proper send off and farewell to these characters, because it's not everyone's cup of tea, but also there are fans that are very loyal to the show, and I like it because I'm an Enterprise fan, that that some people get a proper season finale. I didn't.
Well, the original series did it and Enterprise didn't. So
That's true. That's true. And I love these are the Voyagers. That's right. At me.
These Are
All
the
of it.
Voyages would have been a great episode if it wasn't the series finale. It would have been a fine episode in the middle of some other random season. The problem that I have with that being the finale is that they made it about TNG, and it should have been about the Enterprise crew.
It's fair. That's fair. We'll have you on for supplemental when we get there. Any last thoughts, Mark, before we let you go and get on to our new
Yes,
caller?
actually, you just mentioned Enterprise, and it's what I actually wanted to come on and mention as my main point is I don't know if with filming this at the library, I don't know if anyone else picked up the fact that the book library looked awful lot like what happened in an Enterprise episode, Shockwave Part 2, where Archer travels to the 31st century and Daniels takes him to a Federation library. Instead of digital books, it's all full of written books.
That's true.
And I just thought that was interesting, and the coincidence that this repository of knowledge had the same thing happen when Archer accidentally was thrown into the future times, thanks to Time War shenanigans.
Right.
And the repository had turned into actual real books. I thought that was interesting that they did that, especially since it's supposed to be the 31st century-ish when Archer and Daniels goes up there before they manage to, fix everything and fix everything. And I just thought that was an interesting way of showing that, knowledge and other parallel timelines and other things, that the knowledge of books is sacred. And I worked in an archive and a library for both as a worker and then as a volunteer page at the library and then a volunteer in archive. So the saving and sharing of knowledge is very important to me, and as part of work that I did on as well. And at my master's, I got to work on creating an archive of knowledge related to biosphere reserves around the world. And so being able to preserve and share knowledge is very important to me. So I'm glad we had a chance with this episode, though I haven't watched it, just caught some of the important highlights of it, of having a place where knowledge is sacred, though apparently they do damage it, which makes me sad.
Oh my God, I was screaming. I hope my neighbor's not home, because I was like, no.
Yeah. I mean, we obviously, we want to preserve as much of that as we can, which is, why became, the Breen became such immediate, well, not immediate, but immediate in this episode villains, right? Because he was like, oh, forget this, we're going to go get our stuff and damn the torpedoes, right? That kind of thing. Thanks, Mark, for that. I appreciate your calling in, and we'll see you next time. All right. All right. Alan, what's happening, man? How did you feel about what was going on with this episode?
I gotta say, I dug it. I loved everything about the Eternal Archive. Tyrell was an awesome character.
Should I cosplay her?
I think you should. I mean, this feels like kismet in a way. But yeah, it was super great. I was also more concerned about the fate of the archive at the end than I have felt about many characters on this show who have faced similar danger.
The archive it has to go on.
Yeah, right? It's eternal. It's
exactly.
In the name.
I mean, that's what it says.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. I'm a big fan of the costume designer who did Harel's her outfit, because I love World of Warcraft, and when I saw that, I'm like, wow, you look like the Kirin Tor, right? She had the big banana shoulders and the big poofy silvery thing, and I was like, okay, cool. Someone's a fan.
It was a good sci-fi fantasy mix, and I mean that's just a library is just a great setting. The whole time they were there, I was like, this must be what Candlekeep is like. Just super awesome. I liked the journey that Michael got put on in the episode. I think that was kind of, again, it sort of ties back into the whole thread that they've built of this is a group of people who want to make sure that whoever finds their secret is going to use it responsibly and ethically. And yeah, someone who knows that they might be driven sometimes by fear or anger and can recognize that in themselves is someone who's less likely to use that technology to harm someone else out of fear or anger. Which, hi, Maul.
Yeah. I'm glad that Michael, like early on when I was taking notes as I watched this episode, I was like, Michael was figuring everything out too easily. And I was hoping that she would go down one wrong path to like make it more believable. And then later I was like, oh, great. She went down a wrong path.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that towards the end, when she finally like she thinks that she's not figuring it out, but she does too, like that gets super psychological. And being afraid of failure is like such a universal human fear. I think I've mentioned her on the show before, but there's an author named Brene Brown who is a PhD researcher in shame, and she has like entire books about that phenomena in general and how it basically affects everybody. So I thought that was a good thing for them to choose for her to reveal about herself, because it's something that everybody in the audience can understand. Also, fun fact, the technology that was used to put her into that weird coma state was from a nucleonic beam, which is also the technology that got used in the inner light on Picard.
Oh, cool.
The Catan used it too from their probe.
Nice.
So
yeah,
they're paying attention, the writers.
Oh yeah. And it just felt so right that for like 90% of the test, she's just like, well, I gotta finish this. I am 100% goal oriented. I need to finish this. I need to find this clue. What do I have to do to find the clue? And it's just, the answer is no. You gotta sit and you gotta think about yourself, and you've gotta come to an understanding about yourself before you can proceed with the rest of this quest.
Well, I mean, what I liked about this particular quest, I mean, I guess you can trace like all the different the hints or the clues to very specific things. What I liked about Daredex's quest is that it's empathic, right? You know, so you're dealing with the Beta Z, you know, kind of culture, and being able to go in and kind of like and surrender yourself to like your deepest, innermost you know, feelings, or just what's the right word here? You know what I'm saying, though? It's like kind of like introspection. That's what I felt, you know, about that.
The thing that you're afraid to say even to yourself when you're all alone. That's what she has to confront.
Well, she has to be, they want her to be self-aware of her own sort. I wouldn't call it faults, but just being aware of how you handle things given past experiences and how those things shaped you and what you're afraid of. And I definitely think Michael's been to therapy, so I applaud her.
Yeah, there's a bit in at least the movie version of A Wrinkle in Time that gets made fun of because it's such a ridiculous visual in the movie, but it's, you know, the giant Oprah and the giant Reese Witherspoon and the giant Mindy Kaling, and they're giving gifts to the lead character, and one of them is, I give you the gift of your faults. And it's like, oh, thanks. That's great. That's just what I needed, is my faults. But really, I mean, in this instance, it's kind of appropriate.
Yeah, it was smart. I mean, if it weren't for the fact that this is the you know, series finale, I think it would have been a really good launching point, maybe for like another like season. Just, you're going to have this incredible growth opportunity in so many different ways, not just with like Michael Burnham, but, you know, now we're going to get some new spinoffs and stuff. And there's going to be a finality to that. So it's going to be a little kind of maybe truncated, and it maybe is a little bit, you know, I don't know, sort of transitory in a way, you know, where you're not really feeling kind of like the finality of it. But I'm not sure exactly, you know, do we get that? with every single, Star Trek series, or is it just that's the best story that they can tell and you just kind of move on from there?
It's hard to say. I have to say that maybe I'm just sort of in a little bit of denial right now, but I am very happy with the way that this season has unfolded and the pacing of it and how everything has sort of been revealed over time. Like, back in the first week when we found out that this was going to be a quest with like 5 different parts, if you had said by episode 8, we're going to have the map completed, both sides are going to know where they need to go to get to the end game, and there's going to be, some level of drama about who's going to get there first and what they're going to use it for. That's it. That's all I would have wanted from this series, or from this season at least.
Yeah.
I do kind of think, well, how are they going to wrap everything up? I do think that there's a chance that it's going to feel a little bit tacked on because it kind of was.
Yeah.
But like, always still just roll the original ending and give us season 6. Come on.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, what, the Blu-rays, the 4Ks, or any of the special feature is going to be able to document, because I'm sure that there are going to be a lot of questions, from the fans, like, what were the plans, what were the character arcs, the things that we didn't see, so obviously, no one wants to see their series, obviously, end. But when you get to the point where you're like, well, the things that could have been, that'll be tough. Little pill to swallow right there.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to get to the ad break. So one final thought, Alan, and then we're going to move on to
just that I love seeing how the Breen are also evolving over the course of this series. Turns out maybe it's just that one guy who's unreasonable. Maybe the rest of them will, maybe every other one, they're like, are we really going to do this? Are we really going to blow up the library? We said we wouldn't do it, but you want to
Yeah, I know. It's
first Locke, then Lieutenant what's his name? One domino will fall.
But that's the thing, is like with the Progenitors technology, is that it depends on whose hands it gets into.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Rule, obviously not. I don't know, like Section 31, maybe obviously not either.
Yeah.
Right? Or Badmiral. I mean, you don't know. So, I mean, we're just basically placing it in the hands of
the Borg.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
In a weird way, too, this kind of puts me in the same headspace as someone who, hot take, enjoyed The Last Jedi. This puts me in the same headspace for the last 2 episodes of Discovery that The Last Jedi put me in for the end of the Star Wars saga, in that it's sort of, clearing out Rune is like chopping Snoke in half. It sets the stage for an unpredictable bad guy who we don't know how they're going to react and what their motivations are ultimately going to be. And I'm excited to go there. And, that's on that note,
I applaud your optimism for those movies, because I surely don't have it.
I didn't say that I enjoyed where it wound up in episode 9, but after episode 8, I was super excited.
All right. Some people juggle geese, as Wash would say. So,
guys, I have to make a comment on some things that are going on in the chat, because they're talking about, Dominic said that he had to look up oubliette, which is something that Hyrel said. Interestingly enough, oubliette came up twice in my life yesterday, because I watched this episode when I got home from the Renaissance Fair. There's an oubliette bar at the Renaissance Fair. Now, apparently, and this is news to me, I didn't know that this is what it means. Chris Riker says oubliette literally means to forget. Prisoners go in, they don't come out. So the oubliette at the Renaissance Fair, they make you hold on to these chains, and these ladies kind of talk dirty to you as they make you chug a beer.
Nice.
Well,
I know that
more pleasant than
with
Well, it's weird that the oubliette came up twice in my life yesterday, though, and that now they're talking about how they had to Google it to figure out what it was.
well, we're going to banish Alan to the oubliette of the new trilogy, and we're going to get to
Not the
little
pitch.
station identification that Holly is so excited to talk about because we always love thanking and just basically I don't know, it's like there's so much profound thanks, so much profound, and I don't know, sometimes I'm overwhelmed by what happens in Discord.
Yeah, we have a lot going on at all times now. So
Yeah.
and we add new stuff all the time. So Sundays we have now Voyager, which is the international chat that discusses the most recent mission log episode. It's a friendlier time slot than After Dark because it's international. Heather, who's in the chat right now, she hosts Disco on the Discord. That's Tuesdays at 8 p.m. And then, of course, there's Mission Log After Dark. That's Thursdays at 7 p.m. Zocalo.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well done.
Friday night, the live chat about Babylon 5, which I haven't personally watched, which is why I continue to say that word wrong, but I got it right.
Makes me sad.
And then Saturday, we have Bondatory, which is the James Bond film discussion. So that's new.
Mhm.
It's very exciting. I think my dad said last week that he started watching the Bond films because of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but you guys should check out the schedule because sometimes things change. It's all made possible by our supporters. If you would like to participate in these live chats and get access to all the content on Mission Log Patreon, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/missionlog.
Thank you, Holly. And just want to apologize a little bit. So, I'm maybe a little bit flighty at times because, as all of you know, that I'm still like working through some of my eye issues and some just physical needs. And later on, like during the course of the day, it's a little harder for me to see. So it just gets a little, a little wonky at times, and that's all. That's all. Don't worry. I'm not, I'm not taking any of the substances like the kids say. Anyway, we're going to jump right into Dave. Dave, are you a new caller? I haven't met you before.
I haven't met you either, Norman. Nice to meet you.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Number 2 for me.
All right.
Yeah, I missed a couple weeks, but I'm back for a second call in. But I've been listening to Mission Log for a long time, and
Thank you.
Norman and Holly, it's great to be here with you and with Earl before in the Earl Green Room,
Oh,
which
sweet.
I've heard about so many times.
Yeah. Thank you for calling.
It's a great place to be.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's a good place to be. It's a good place to be. But yeah, I love the show and I have thoughts on it. Of course, like all good Star Trek, is going to generate some questions and things. And I'm thinking more and more about this. I've been watching this season and this progenitor tech, and actually, we were just talking with the last caller about this a little bit. I'm thinking more and more it might be a good call for them to just, when they get to this tech or maybe this map is fully in their possession, that maybe they should just destroy it. It doesn't seem like this is something that they should have anybody. I mean, I don't trust Michael Burnham to have that kind of tech. I mean, I love the character, but boy, she, if she has some kind of crisis
Let's
or
just
something,
give
I feel
this
like
to a
it could be a
mutineer.
bargaining chip, or let's just give this to somebody in a bar or mutineer, or like I got a good feeling about this person that we just met at this trading post, So I'm a little worried about that. And so I was thinking more and more. I don't know, thoughts on that? Do you think the Federation should have this technology even in their difficult state in the 32nd century, rather?
I'm not even sure why the scientists that set up this whole scavenger hunt would want it to be found, if I'm being honest.
I thought about that too. I mean, well, we need to have a season 5, so that's one reason. But except for that, maybe it would have been better for them to just destroy it themselves.
I mean, they've already sort of had a conversation. Culver very briefly was like, I don't know if I, want to know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm of that mindset. Like, I kind of don't want to know the origins of life. That feels too much for one brain to process.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that feels very much like I'd have a panic attack if you told, like, if I just like look up at the stars from our planet for too long, I have a panic attack because I'm like, it's never ending. And like, and I used to have conversations with my dad about this when I was a kid. He would be like, where does space end? And if it does end, what's on the other side? And how long does that go? And that really messes me up. So if somebody were to come to me and like, this is the technology that created all life in the universe, I'd be like, that's too much information for you to give me.
That's a great point, Dave. I mean, like, do you want like anyone, even the most responsible people, and all of a sudden, you could always just say, hey, well, we write ourselves into a corner and he snaps his fingers and no one gets the technology at all, because why would you want to have like the most omnipotent beings to be the guardians or custodians or, control of that kind of technology, because it's pretty like, is either world building or world ending. So, I maybe that's the whole point of it. Maybe it's no one should have it, and that's the right call. Maybe it's we're better off not knowing, so we continue discovering things.
I see what you did there.
I know, right? So that's, I get lucky. What's that thing? Broken clock is right twice a day. So yeah. But I think it's interesting. It's an interesting point. And we have 2 episodes left.
I know, it's amazing. It's crazy. Yeah.
How have you been with the whole, the series in general? I mean, did it meet your expectations, or at least this particular season 5?
Over 5 seasons or this season?
Either one.
Well, I guess over 5 seasons, I remember I really dug it right out of the gate. And then some of the season 1 stuff, like I love the first 2 episodes with Captain Giorgio and everything. And then I got a lot into the Klingon stuff that I didn't love. And I didn't have this podcast yet. I didn't know you guys were out there. And it took a while, but about season 3 or 4, I really loved I really got on board with it. Like, I think I love the jumping forward to the future stuff. I love that we're leaving all the prequel stuff behind. And it's a whole, like, I love the concept of the burn. That's like a whole, I love when a series takes something totally new that's nothing that they've never done before, no other series has done before. Kind of like the Xindi invasion in season 3 of Enterprise. And I love the burn, actually, season 3. And but you know what I mean? Or like, for example, the snap in Marvel, and then it being 5 years later. Like, no franchise is done. Everyone goes away for 5 years and then comes back. And I feel like the 32nd century, no dilithium, Federation is fractured, and even Earth wasn't in the Federation anymore, if I recall correctly, in that season. I loved that. I thought that was great. And I thought the characters really came into their own big time around season 3. So I really love season 3 and 4. Season 5, I'm digging. I'm sad it's going to be wrapping up, but I think my favorites so far were 3 and 4. I liked the kind of unmapped quality to it.
Yeah, it's you got to take some risks, and hopefully it pays off for the majority of the fans. I mean, sometimes it's not going to be for everyone, I guess, but
luckily there's a lot of Star Trek out there.
Yeah, see, exactly. I like I like your attitude, man. I like your enthusiasm. And one last point before I let you go.
Yeah. Oh, for me? No. It was just Holly. You mentioned you're an archivist. Were you pretty excited?
She does.
Were you pretty excited to see that like card catalog with the old writing on it and everything?
Yeah.
In there, that was
I mostly deal with digital stuff now. So for those of you who might not know my background, I was Star Trek's archivist at CBS for 5 years, and now I'm Roddenberry's archivist. And I have a few other archival clients that I actually can't reveal who they are. It's very secretive. So I deal mostly with digital stuff. So it's exciting to see like card catalogs, and like I even get excited when I see the card catalog in Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
Yeah, anything archival and things being organized, and it makes my heart happy.
I thought we might have a Dewey Decimal System moment in there, but they didn't quite get that far in the weeds. So, but the idea of there being a metal library card, and they were going to a library planet, basically. And they even said at one point, the library card leaves us here. And I thought, wow, they're actually using the word library card for this thing.
Right.
Earlier, he said it's like a library card, but now they're calling it a library card. Although that I think it was more of an index card, or then what's the card you put in the book? That's not a library card. I don't remember. Anyway, I'm rambling now.
But then you like, well, we have a librarian that is coming up next. So,
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Cherie's a
Well,
librarian.
I'll get out of her. I'll get out of her way. So thanks for having me on, as always.
all right,
I'll be
thanks,
back.
Dave. Appreciate
Thanks,
the
Dave.
call.
Thanks, bye-bye.
All right, take
Yeah.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cherie.
What is it called? It's where you like
bookmark? Were you talking about a bookmark?
No, it's where they
Like-
write, like if you check the book out, people used to like write their names and like the dates on the inside. It's like a registry.
Yeah, we don't use those anymore. So I mean, just where you would stamp the dates.
I think I have my library card
honestly,
somewhere.
for me, I did not enjoy seeing the card catalog because working in an actual library, I have too many people coming in. Where's the card catalog?
People still ask for it?
Yes. I
Wow.
haven't had one in 50 years. Okay.
Because it's on computers now.
Like freaking 2,050 years. So stop asking.
Okay,
And
so
I really wanted to see more digital books. I know it's harder to show that, but I thought it would have been cool, like have a display of like the information in something, kind of like they have on the ship of like those really cool like holo displays or something like that. Because I also deal with too many people who think digital books are the devil, and they are not.
I have a
supposed to
question,
be
though.
sci-fi, embracing technology.
I have a question though. So we saw the digital, the archive, right? Or not digital, but the archive and the all the books and like just caverns and caverns. So are those real or are those projected for people who understand it being real? Right? Because
I mean, maybe, yeah. I guess it could be sort of like a holodeck for books. I guess there's that.
I mean,
Could be.
they gave
not?
book the Quajon route. That's not a book.
No, but they had, I mean, they don't have just books there. Like
Yeah,
even
like they
even
got
where they
stuff.
shot it, it's a library. It's called the Thomas Fisher Rare Book Library, but they also have archival things there that are not books. And just
But
because you have a digital archive doesn't mean that you get rid of the physical thing.
Why not?
What?
You know?
Because
no,
you
no,
have
no.
to, it's
Don't
like
do
the
that.
backup. You back up your backup and you back up the backup.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
keep the
You
physical
always-
stuff.
But this
Yeah,
is like,
so I'm not mad at there being physical things.
Okay.
Like I think in the future we definitely should still have physical things. However, I think people need to embrace more the idea of the melding of physical things and technology. Like you can have both. It's fine. They're not mutually exclusive.
yeah, I think like if like with a book like that, or the Labyrinth of the Mind or certain things that are like super, super, super rare. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But it just seems like there's a lot of books after the burn that maybe not have been preserved. I mean, I think that like, books like pulling out a scroll or like something like super rare that you should never, ever, ever see again. Cause that's kind of like what this book was.
Well, I
right?
think that was the point of this archive because they even said if it's been traveling around since Jet Reno was original, because she's from the original like
Timeline.
prequel timeline.
Yeah.
24th.
So like
yeah.
she like it's been traveling around since then, so it's gonna have lots of stuff in it. Yeah.
Do you think they have a Gutenberg Bible?
Maybe.
I think they do.
Probably. Yeah.
Okay. I just like seeing like super, super, super rare things, so it's like, look at this. It's a real book, or with a real library card holder and a real library card.
And that's why they very well like a archive in the future. Like I'm totally fine with it still having tons of real books. Yeah, that makes sense. It's just, I think it would, and in my head canon, it could theoretically still have digital books. They could have been just in those displays, but I would have liked to see something visually portraying that. That would have been cool.
it would have been neat, because this is like this eternal archive, that not all books are Terran looking. You know what I mean? Like it should be like alien scrolls or, parchment or skin or something, but like the entire time it was just like, flipping through like the volumes of like, ooh, okay. But that's not exactly how it works, right?
Well, I mean,
because they filmed it in an actual
yeah, I was like, they filmed it in a real library, who, by the way, that library also has like pieces of papyrus from Egyptian times. So they don't just have books either. But I mean, that's like asking why all of the beings in Star Trek are humanoid form. It's because humans are playing them.
That's because I ask. Where the technology is there. It's not like we're working with Michael Westmore in the 90s, Anyway.
I do also want to add that I now want to be a battle librarian, because as soon as they started being attacked by the Breen, I'm like, oh, we're gonna see the battle librarians. That's why she's a Klingon.
Yeah, she's like, I have
battle librarians.
She's a Losian.
Oh, is she? I thought she was a Klingon.
No, she's not Klingon. I'm pretty sure she's a Losian. A Frosian, sorry. She's a Frosian.
Okay.
I know that word. That's from
Okay.
Voyager. That's a Losian.
Oh, okay. I thought she was a Klingon because she kind of.
No, so a Frosian is the same. The Federation president in.
Wait. Is it?
Yeah. It's the Federation president in the Voyage Home.
That explains it, because I always thought he was a Klingon.
6.
No, so they have like forehead ridges that are really similar, but they apparently this is the second one we've seen. They always have blonde hair. Like that's the other
kind of like so many of the creatures also have the pointy ears, but they're like, but it's not a Vulcan or a Romulan. We just have these left over.
Yeah, and then like I guess the dudes always have mustaches but yeah, she's I thought she was Klingon too, and then I was like, oh, I think she's the same as the Federation president, and
I still want to see her fight.
Yes,
I want to see battle librarians, and then because I was thinking also it would make logical sense for there to be battle librarians, because it seems like it's a very important archive. You'd have to be able to protect yourself. You're not always going to have another ship there, like Discovery. To,
right, they have to have their own defense.
You think, other than just shields, but then I thought about the fact that I work in an actual library, and honestly, sometimes it would probably be good for us to have some battle librarians, but we don't. So then I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's probably just the same. Okay.
I thought those
want to
shields
be a battle librarian.
I thought the shields were going to be like nice try, the Breen's, super ship, because why would anyone be able to breach those defenses since they're the
tunneling in? I mean, because technology has faults, and new technology trumps old technology sometimes. But I also think from the standpoint of that this archive likely has at least one piece of important items archived from probably every species that we've seen. So I feel like you shouldn't, regardless of what species you are, you shouldn't want to destroy it. You should have no motivation to destroy it, knowing that
they might be trying to rely on that, but unfortunately that's not always the case.
I agree. It's just like, hey, look, we have 3 Breen, relics. Don't destroy us. We don't care. Come on, of course you care, right? I mean, you would think.
Well, they should care. That doesn't mean that they do.
But
I'm also beginning to think, I could be completely wrong, but kind of the way that Maul acts around the second in command that turned on the other guy. I wonder if he's just Locke in disguise, and they somehow pulled off
right,
a heist somehow. They figured out how to pull off a switch. We don't know how Breen work. And they're always in those helmets.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same guy that she made that passive comment to, where she under her breath was like, "Oh, he doesn't care about you. I hope you know that."
But even before that, I just kind of felt like they had kind of similar chemistry as Maul and Locke. But maybe it's just because she's I don't have I have a thing for guys with helmets. I don't know. I this is sense of a similar chemistry, but it might just be the helmet thing. I don't know.
I think she's working the angle. I mean, she's pretty smart, right? Any way to get Locke, I don't know, reincarnated or whatever. But they certainly rule. He is not a good guy, and he's not good for the Breen. Not to say that the other factions are good for the Breen, but you deal with the devil that you got, right? So
yep.
I think they're going to find out that they're not going to be able to use. Well, I think Maul's going to find out that they're not going to be able to use the technology the way that she wants to use it, which is to give Locke his life back. I mean, because it started as them wanting to use it as a bargaining chip, and now it's like she wants it because it presumably could give Locke. I think they're going to find that that's not possible, and she's going to be disappointed.
Or like, I mean, I still like. I feel like for me to personally find it satisfying, they've written themselves in a corner because I didn't want Locke to die in the first place, but now I also don't want them to bring him back to life. So I'm in a difficult situation here. But I also think it's possible they might have to be like, well, we have to destroy this, and in order to destroy it, we can't use it because like maybe using it like negates destroying it or whatever. So it's probably going to be something like, this is too big for any of us. We need to destroy it.
Isn't that how that one episode ended? You know, with the progenitors, like, you know, no one's supposed to have it.
Oh, in TNG, yeah, basically.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like,
yeah, nobody should be in possession of this.
Right. So it's kind of similar, but just bigger stakes in the 32nd century.
Well, I mean, I understand the Starfleet's motivation to finding it is so that no one else finds it. But I feel like everybody before this has been like, but no one should have it. Like, Starfleet isn't all good. We've had badmirals. Like, we've got people in there that are shady. So I understand their motivation, but I also think that they should probably destroy it too.
The moral quandary, right? That is Star Trek.
Yep.
But it's, yeah, like with all races, they're going to be this faction, that faction, right? And maybe we're just back where we started, like X, number of, like decades ago with TNG. I don't know. So, Sheree, like, what are your hopes, for the last couple episodes and hopefully the wrap up?
I'd love for Oo and Detmer to come back, but I don't think that's going to happen, and I find that disappointing.
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah.
And also, once again, Hyrule had more personality than poor Reese, who's been there the whole freaking time for like 5 years
but at least
now.
Reese got to be in command this episode, which was sort of fun.
But he was just seriously like, all of my lines are to advance the plot, and in no way give me extra personality.
I also don't feel like he wasn't actually making any like command decisions either. He was just like, what do you want us to do? And I was like, oh, I wanted him to actually like make decisions. It's cool to see him in the chair, but
it's so disappointing because I feel like, I have no way of knowing what kind of actor he is, because it's even worse than what they did to LeVar Burton, because I feel like Geordi was one of my favorite characters growing up, but when I looked like when I rewatched TNG and look back at it, they give him so little. But LeVar Burton is such an amazing actor. Like
when they do give him
through that,
when they do give him something, they just like made him an awkward dude who is bad with women.
Yeah, but somehow I feel like LeVar Burton is so awesome. Like he overcomes that. But I think like they give the secondary bridge crew on Discovery even less than that, even less.
Yeah, I know. It's it is too bad, and we're not going to get. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 episodes. I don't know if we're going to get Oo and Detmer back. Maybe they'll just Blaze of Glory come in on the ISS Enterprise and
that would be fun.
Take out the.
That would be cool.
The progenitor's tech.
I now want that to happen more than Locke coming back. That would be awesome.
They're talking about Dave was asking where did they come up with the idea that like it could restore life, not just like start life, but restore it. Mm-hmm. I believe Nan said that one of the 5 scientists had that theory written down somewhere. So it came directly from one of these people who hid one of the clues. That's what he suggested. I believe that's what happened. Anyways.
Yeah, I'd have to double check, but I think it was the last or the final piece, like the one.
It was the last piece. It wasn't this piece it was the last piece.
Okay, So that was the Denobulin?
It might have been the Denobulin, yeah.
Yeah. Well, tricky.
I mean, obviously, I'm going to go back and rewatch everything once it's all
right.
all done.
I
Well,
still
we
want a whole
have,
story about the stealth Denobulans who set up those towers. Just stealthily, not revealing themselves, just building towers.
Well, if they brought short tracks back, maybe we could do that.
Yes.
or Lower Decks. Yeah, you
Yes.
never know.
Or Dax.
All right, Sheree. So we have just about one more minute, and then we're going to let you go and wrap this thing up and get on to the next 2 episodes. So, excited?
Battle Librarian.
Okay. If anything happens,
that's what we need.
We're gonna get you Battle Librarians. We'll work on that. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Sheree.
Thanks, Sheree.
Have a good night.
All right, you too. So that's pretty much it. That's the end of our show. We are down to the nitty gritty, the final few. You know, the penultimate and the ultimate, I guess. Thoughts, predictions, projections. What do you think?
I don't have any I mean, I have a lot of predictions, but I really want to feel like I have closure with everybody over the next 2 episodes.
Well, we will definitely see in 2 weeks. See how it all works out. But that's pretty much our show. So thanks, Holly. I'm gonna get working on. I think I'm gonna have a lot of thoughts at the end. So I'm gonna get working on kind of like a list. The whole series, like list of, well, for another recap. So anyway, Mission Log Live is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment, technical production on Mission Log and Mission Log Live by the keeper of the card catalog, Earl Green. Be sure to visit podcast.roddenberry.com for the latest from Roddenberry podcasts. If you would like to support Mission Log directly, give us a look at patreon.com/missionlog. Thanks again to our fellow librarian this week, Holly Amos. Thanks, everyone, who joined us live or later, and we will look forward to seeing all of you for Discovery Episode 9 next week.
This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.